enhance this green feel. Yeah, even for now, the main entrance, after we construct, the main entrance will be right where that board is, where you can see the TSAVO board. So that will be the gates, and then the entrance, the road will come here and go straight into the building, into the parking below. So I think this is wonderful. So we are really happy about that. So we would like the building to be in the trees, to be of the trees, so that even on the whole face, where you can see the little things that look like balconies, those will not be balconies. They'll actually be planters. So the building will be full of green all the way to the roof. So it will be a wonderful project. This is the view that the residents will be seeing from rural suburbs, and I'm here and I'm listening to the birds sing. And I can't help but be really thankful to God and be really proud of everyone who has taken part in this. The master builders, the site workers, our fire partners who sold it, the contractors, and most of all the investors. All of you have participated in creating something really phenomenal. And I may be wrong, but I can assure you that the residents will see that effort. They'll see the good decisions you've made, and they repay you for it. I think everyone will want to live here and enjoy.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. It's an exciting day just to be here. And thank you for joining us. Ncharo is not here, so it's going to be a different experience. But I hope we will still be able to learn, even just with me. I think we can start with a word of prayer, and then we proceed from there. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for good health. And we thank you just for the opportunity to share with each other today. I commit this session into your hands. I pray that you will be with us, that even as we share honestly from our lives and our journey and our experiences, that we will all learn and be better people, even in our pursuit of financial independence. We thank you because you're God, and you continue to just take care of us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. Asanteni sana, karibuni sana. I think we can start. I can see a number of people have joined. Gerald Kiragu, all set, waiting for this awesome talk. Thank you, Gerald. Oh, Mr. Mcharo is here. He's not here physically, but I can see him online. All set. I've learned great lessons from my wife and partner in person. Today I sit and watch her share her wisdom online. Thank you. Thanks so much, honey. I think Gugi Mturi, today must be one of those days where we learn a whole library. Tuned. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we can start. We're going to talk about the rat race. I'll first start with our story, which we've had many times. I think, those of us who've joined can probably even just rehearse our story. But I'll start with our story just briefly, and then we'll delve into the rat race. Really, just to understand what is the rat race, why do we find ourselves in the rat race, and what makes it so hard to get out of the rat race. So that's what we will be talking about today. I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to hear your stories as well. I'd like to know, what are your views on the rat race. Some of us who've been in the rat race and have been able to get out, it would be lovely to hear your story. And at the end, we will just talk about how do you get out of the rat race? What are some of the things, some practical steps of what you can do to get out of the rat race? Now, I'll start with our story. So at the beginning, we've shared in this platform that we started as very simple people, straight from campus with a child. I think I was in campus when in the first year of our marriage. So of course, no income from me, but a little income from Mr. Mcharo. And life wasn't easy, but quickly I finished campus. I was able to get a first job. And what do you do when you get a first job? He had an income already. What you do is you move. The first thing you do when you get a little increase in your income, you change your neighborhood. We used to live in a place called 87 in Kino, but we moved from there and went to Nyayo in Bakassi because we could now afford, we could afford more rent. Went to Nyayo and started life there. It was a lot better than where we were. I think in a span of maybe a year or so, bought our first car. So that's the typical life that we all go through, right? You finish campus, you get a job, you change where you used to live, change your neighborhood, in a short while buy a car, and then just start increasing your expenses. So your income would be increasing, but you're just increasing your expenses. So your expenses and your income are sort of like at par. So at the beginning of the month, you have some income, but at the end of the month, you have nothing, you have no savings, and you have spent it all. So that was, sorry, I think there's a problem. I can't see the screen. Yes, that was our story. And why was it like that? We all went to high school, we all went to school, and we all remember this song very well. So many vijana, muongeze pia bidii, mwisho wa kusoma mtapata kazi nzuri sana. So that was the finish line, that was the end. The objective was to go to school, get a good education, get a job, start life. And nobody told us then, nobody told us what do you do when you have a job. Nobody told us what to do with our finances. So that was our story, Mchara and I. I think one day we started asking ourselves, hey, what's going on? At the beginning, both of us didn't have an income. We got by. We paid the rent. We had food. Then he had some income. And the story was the same, paid rent, had food. Then I also got a job, and the story was the same. And by the end of the month, we always had nothing. We had no savings. We had not even started thinking about investments. So we started asking ourselves those questions. We thank God that we asked ourselves those questions early enough. So we had already started, in the rat race. But we thank God that early enough we were able to ask ourselves those questions. And I think that was the beginning of a transformation in our lives. So today, my question is, where are you at? Have you asked yourself that question at the beginning? Or you're already in the rat race 10 years later after you started working, or even 20 years later? Are you still in the rat race? And what does the rat race mean? So the rat race is ideally being in a place where you're just, you're going to work, you're working, you're earning an income, you're paying bills, you're paying taxes, you're spending all the money, and the same repeats itself over and over again. If someone asked you, what have you got to show for the income you've made over the last 5 years? A lot of times when you're in the rat race, there is nothing. Because all the income you have made, you have probably spent it. And if you look at your income, you can be able to say, actually, my income has increased 5-fold, 10-fold. I used to earn 50, I'm now earning 500,000. But what have I got to show for it other than that I've changed my neighborhood? Probably if I have kids, I've taken them to better schools. They've changed their school. That I've changed my car from one car to another one to another, probably on the 4th car or the 5th car. Other than that, like if you really ask, do you have an investment? A lot of us don't have because of the rat race. And why do we stay in the rat race? When you start working, a lot of us are driven by fear. So you're scared. You're scared of not having an income. You're scared of not having money and the things that money can buy. So that's what drives you at the beginning, the fear of lack. And then progressively, then the desire to spend creeps in. So you have this desire, you have this excitement, you have this joy that every time your account is credited at the end of the month, you're excited and you want to spend the money. And then that just becomes a cycle that keeps on and on and on. At the beginning, it was fear of lack. But as you progress, the fear transforms to another fear. So you get to a place where you're probably not very happy. Again, we know that spending brings very short-term happiness or short-term joy, but does it change the quality of your life? Probably briefly, but it does not change it in a sustainable way. So the quality of your life does not change, or is not like better. So maybe you're unhappy. You're unhappy with your job. But over time, you have just increased these layers and layers of expenses. So your child is in a very expensive school, one. So you're not happy with your job, but can you leave your job? Maybe not. What will happen to your child? You're living in a certain neighborhood that is dependent on that paycheck. So you're scared, if I left this job, probably you're unhappy with what you're doing. Probably you have other passions, you have other dreams that you would like to pursue. But you're scared. If I left this job, what will happen? Will I move from this neighborhood? You probably have a mortgage. As you increase as your income gets better, we are all encouraged to get a mortgage. You'll see a billboard with this happy family, with the keys to a house. And you quickly go and take a mortgage that's far, far, far out of your league in terms of if you're to buy that, out of your own savings, you wouldn't be able to afford. But you take the mortgage and you're paying the bank. So you ask yourself, I'm not happy with this job. I'd like to pursue something different. Probably my family is even breaking apart. But I can't. I have this mortgage obligation. What will happen if I quit my job? You have this big car loan that you have to meet. What would happen if you quit your job? You would have to sell the car. Again, what would your family say if you did that? What would your friends say? What would be your status? There will be a change in your status. Probably you're of a certain status. So that fear keeps you in the rat race. That fear keeps you there. And you don't see like there's an alternative. You actually, as much as you try, you can't see an alternative. It doesn't look feasible. It doesn't look like there's a possibility of you getting out of the rat race. And you feel caught. Yeah, you feel like you've been held. And we talk about even what we call golden handcuffs, which is what I'd say probably employers take advantage of, because they know you already have this mortgage, you already have these car loans. They're not investments. They're actually not assets, because they're not generating for you any cash flows. We've talked about cash flows here. They're not giving you income. You're dependent on this one income from this employer. So because of that fear, you're not able to get out of the rat race. And it becomes very hard for you. Maybe you're not even happy. From the outside, people see you and they think you're very happy. But it's difficult. You're not happy, but there's absolutely nothing you can do because of the golden handcuffs, because of the status you've taken in life, because of the kind of life you've chosen to live. So what does someone do when they're in that situation? So maybe you're there, you're listening to us. I'd like to see your comments. Where are you at? Have you just started working? Is this early days? You're not yet caught up in the rat race? Are you somewhere like in the middle and there's probably a way out? Or are you like late in your career life and you totally feel caught up? I'd like us to engage a little on that. We'll discuss how to get out of the rat race a little later, but yeah. So let me just try and see if we have any comments here. I can see a number of people. Karibuni sana, those who've been able to join us. Thank you. I can see Remy. Thank you. I can see Abed. Mwakio Constance. Glad to hear from you. I'm ready to learn, and may God help us implement the lessons we are learning. Thank you. Blessings. Eunice Gunga tuned in. Thanks, Eunice. Eunice is one of our investors. Thank you. Any other comments? On this other side, Evelyn Kagai Adisa, please give advice on how to invest in your projects when you don't have regular income. How do you also know you have spread yourself too thin when it comes to investments? Would you allow me to answer that in a bit? Educative, tentatively listened. That's Saruth Modime. Thank you. Sally, welcome. Yeah, any other comments on this other side? There's Munani, I always look forward to Friday sessions. Happy to hear from you, Emily. Thank you, those who have joined. I'll try to remember to answer the questions on how to invest in our projects. Maybe for now, I'll just continue with the topic we are discussing, and then I'll come back to answer your question. So we've discussed why it's difficult to get out of the rat race. Now, possibly, let's talk about what can you do to ensure you don't get into the rat race from the very beginning? What are some of the things that you can do to make sure you don't sort of like get into the rat race? The first thing is, if you're able to live like you don't know where your next paycheck will come from, I think that would greatly help. So you live in such a way that, yes, I have an income, but I'm not sure about tomorrow. And when you do that, what that does is that you're able to prepare for tomorrow, even with the income that you have today. That means that will allow you to start saving. It will allow you to start thinking about investments, because you've not made an assumption that that income will be there into perpetuity, right? So you would try to live on, probably not all the income that you're making, and you will start investing. So don't assume that this income is there forever. We've seen the challenges that have come to many of us. Possibly you could be having a very good job, but there's a possibility that that job will end one day. We pray that it doesn't, but there's a possibility that job will end one day. I'll give you a bit of my story as well. When I used to work for Stanbic, and after about 9 years of working for Stanbic, something happened and I had to leave Stanbic. And I was so sure I would never need to leave Stanbic, but I had to leave Stanbic. And then I got a job in Chase Bank. And I didn't settle. I just didn't settle in Chase Bank. And I tried, I think I was there for about a year, just barely a year. But I didn't settle. I wasn't happy. I didn't feel like that's the place I belonged. And because we had already started investing, we already had another source of income other than the our two incomes. We already had a passive source of income. It was a little easy for me to decide that I'm actually going to resign and leave Chase Bank, just because we had 3 sources of income. So even with me stopping to work, we had our passive income and we had my husband's income as well. So that was only possible because we had invested earlier. I remember when I was just debating, should I resign, should I not? There's one time Charo sent me a message and he said, we have worked hard, we have invested, we have a source of income, you're my wife, I'm your husband, I will take care of you. You don't have to go through this if you're not happy. And for me, other than, that was enough to make me make the decision that, you know what, I have no idea where I'm going, I do not have another job, I don't have another source, I don't have, I'm not guaranteed of another job, but I'm going to resign. The other thing, at that point, we had taken, we used to take loans to sort of build our hostels. So we had a big loan. I think we had about 19 million bob in debt, but I still left. And one lady from HR called me and asked me, Emily, are you sure about your decision? Because, when I was working in the bank, the interest rate was 5%. But immediately I left, the interest rate went to 17%. So she was concerned. You're leaving, but yet you have this big loan. What will happen to you? What will happen to this loan? And I told her, I trust God. My life is in God's hands. That's all I told her. Someone might think that was stupid. Someone might think, did you play your cards right? But I wasn't happy. But the only reason I was able to have the confidence to do that was because I had another source of income. So that's one of the things that you can do. Start investing, build a pipeline, have another source of income. And if you have another source of income, it's a lot easier to be able to get out of the rat race. Yes. Now I can go to questions. I think now there are many. Allow me to let me go to the question I was supposed to answer about how to invest in our projects from Evelyn. I think it was in Facebook. Are you able to just highlight for me that question? So Evelyn is asking, how do you invest in TSAVO's project? So I'm talking about building a pipeline. I'm talking about what's building a pipeline? Building a pipeline is, there's a story that is told about Bruno and Pablo where they were fetching water and they were using buckets to fetch water, and they would earn. They would earn after bringing water to the village. And one of them said, no. I can only earn after I've carried water with a bucket? Can I start building a pipeline? So I make 100 shillings every time I carry a bucket. Instead of spending the 100, can I spend possibly 50 and use the 50 to build a pipeline and progressively build a pipeline that will come up to the village? So once the pipeline gets to the village, I will be able to supply water to the village without carrying the buckets. And that means I will be free. I'll be able to earn. In TSAVO, we say earn while you sleep. I'll be able to earn even when I'm not working. So that's what building a pipeline is, to use the income that you're currently making to create another source of income, a source of passive income that you can be able to use even when you stop working. You ideally are able to start earning while you're sleeping. And there are very many advantages of doing that. Immediately you do that, you start thinking differently. You have a pipeline that's generating for you some cash flows. Possibly those cash flows are able to meet your needs, all your daily needs. If you get to that place, it's possible to sit back and say, am I happy with my job? Do I want to pursue another, something else? Do I have a passion? Can I pursue my passion? Do I have a dream? Can I pursue my dream? And that, as we've said in this forum, that was truly what happened to us. That we got to a place where we had enough passive cash flows for us to sit back and think, can we start a company together? What service would we want to offer even after we started a company together? We would never, ever have been able to do that if we hadn't built a pipeline. So, Evelyn, the advantage of investing in our projects could be one of the pipelines you could consider. That while you're earning an income, you can start investing even in our projects. And progressively you will be earning, progressively you will start building your pipeline. Probably the first year you'll get one house. After a couple of years, maybe get a second. The rent will start increasing. And ideally by doing that, you'll be moving your pipeline from the river and closer and closer and closer to the village. It will take time. It took us 15 years, but it's possible even with 15 years. I mean, we don't look like we are 90. It took 15 years and we're still here, we're still young, and we're still benefiting from that pipeline. So those are the advantages of investing, and our project is one of those. And it's possible to invest in our projects because we have a payment plan that allows you to pay over time, and the amounts are dependent on your affordability. You can choose a payment plan of as low as 30,000, while somebody else can choose a payment plan of 100,000. So it depends on where you are. I think Evelyn had also asked, if you don't have a regular income, how can you still be able to invest in TSAVO projects? We've started something we call TSAVO Saves, Evelyn. And TSAVO Saves allows you to start saving towards your investment. So you can come and save with us, and you slowly build up your deposits, or you slowly build up savings that then can be channeled towards an investment. So come as you are. Even if you're not able to meet the monthly payments of 30 today, you can start where you are by saving, and then ultimately you'll be able to get to an amount that is able to go towards a particular unit. So yes, Evelyn, it is possible. And yes, this is one of the pipelines that hopefully we can consider. Yeah, let's go to the next question. Are you able to Facebook after Evelyn's question? Together, let's create a FIRE. Oh, sorry, here it's my team just saying we create a group of FIRE. Ruth, thank you, Ruth. Nice to see you here. Ruth is one of our investors as well. This is good, Emily. These are the lessons we all need to hear from the moment we start working. Absolutely. I love your building concept. Yes, Ruth, I totally agree with you. I think, I don't know whether we have the power to influence the education system, but that song, So Many Vijana, Ongeza Bidii, Mwisho wa Kusoma, I think that's somebody said that's a scam. That's really not how life should be. So yes, Ruth, I totally agree with you. Let me go to YouTube. Gerald Kiragu, I just started working not for long, but I've always known of the rat race and mentality of thinking only trading time for money is the only way, which is not. Kiragu, I agree with you. When you're trading time for money, the truth is you are a slave to money. And let's remember, guys, when you're trading your time for money and you're offering a service to an employer, the employer has chosen that they want your service for this season. There's a possibility the employer can decide, I don't want your services anymore. And then what happens? So I totally agree. If it is possible for us to think, is there another way for me to make money besides employment? And then again, I'd like to say something. Even in these COVID times, which is very unfortunate, I think this is the time when we all need a source of income. All of us. But this is the time, there's something called employer's dilemma. This is the time employers are asking, do I really need to keep this person in my payroll? Yeah, and a number of us have been either laid off, or we've received a pay cut, or we are on unpaid leave. And it's possible for us to defend that. Yes, the economy is tough, and these employers probably, they don't have work for you to do. So they tell you to go home. But this is the time that you really need a source of income. So if you didn't have a pipeline, if you don't have an alternative source of income, and you're reliant on this employer, what do you do at such a time as this? And I would like to say, if there's nothing else we learn from COVID, my prayer is we will learn this one big lesson, that we should not assume our income from our employers will be there into perpetuity. None of us would have thought that COVID was going to happen. None of us would have thought we were going to be laid off. None of us thought we were going to be, on pay cut. But it has happened. So it doesn't even have to be retrenchment only. It doesn't even have to be, you're laid off because of non-performance or the other thing. Life can push your employer to a place where they decide to let you go. But if you've not learned to build a pipeline, what happens? Yeah? So thank you, Kiragu, for that question. Yeah, Mr. Mcharo, live as if you don't know where your next paycheck will come from. Absolutely right. Shonia, I was made redundant 2 years into working. It was a blessing in disguise because it forced me out of the rat race. When I resumed work, I was scared to spend. COVID is challenging this. Investing is key. Thank you, Shonia. That is so true. My husband usually laughs at me and says, I was also laid off at the ripe old age of 24. So that was my first employer. I started working somewhere on a project, and then the project ended, and he decided, you're going home. So Shonia, I hear you. When something like that happens to you, it makes you think. It makes you think, I cannot rely on salary. But if you've not gone through that, my prayer is that you will learn from those who have gone through that. And don't feel I'm untouchable. Don't feel it can't happen to me. It can happen to any of us. And leave alone losing your work. As I've said, just having another source of income opens the possibilities for you. You're able to think of the other things that you can do that can make you happy. Andrew, thanks, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew, for following. Let me look on this side. Nancy Tasha, thank you. I was definitely in a rat race for the first 5 years of employment. Now, 2 years ago, I started reading and educating myself on financial management. Now I save more than 70% of my earnings. Fantastic. I moved to a cheaper town. I don't have loans, and there's more that I can't see. Yeah, and I'm excited about investing. Thank you, Nancy. I think, Nancy, that is so true. I'm happy for you that that you're able to, to have the mind shift early enough. I think 5 years maybe, it's not too bad. And now I can see you're taking very serious measures. 70% of your earnings, I think that's a lot. And I think with that, it is possible for you to build a healthy pipeline. Yeah. Yeah, on this other side, I don't see any questions. So yeah, we can continue. Savo, hello, Savorites. Thank you for joining in live. Let's keep this. Oh, this is to our Savorites. Let's create a group. Yeah, let's create a group. My dear husband, build a pipeline so you can earn while you sleep. It's not possible to earn it's not possible to earn while you sleep if you don't have a pipeline, right? So, and earning while you sleep, there are people who think, okay, so does that mean you're not working? It just means you have a source of income you have a source that brings you income, even while you're sleeping, and therefore that gives the opportunity to consider doing other things. Now, when you're working and you're employed, I'd like to request us to consider something. If you're working for someone, is it possible for you to think of yourself not as an employee, but as a business offering a service to your employer? Like you're the one who's offering a service to the employer and you're creating value for the employer. Why do I say that? If you have a mind shift and start thinking of it that way, you'll stop thinking, I am dependent on this employer, but you start looking at yourself as an entity that's able to create value. And if you're able to create value for employer X, it is possible to create value for another person and another person and another person. And that's how you start thinking outside the box and start thinking, is there a different way? Is there anything else that I can do when you're thinking about value creation? When you start thinking about offering a service, and not necessarily I am an employee and this is the only thing that I can do. Because immediately you do that, you're in the rat race. You're in the rat race completely, and therefore it's not possible for you to think outside the box. Yeah, and so think of other ways to make money. And Mcharo has talked about this here. Yeah, look at the needs of God's children, right? So what are the needs that God's children have? And God's children is, all of us, the community, all of us. What are their needs? Can I be able to meet a need? So if you do that, you'll start seeing opportunities of what you can do. For example, for us, when we've talked about our journey and our investments in real estate and ultimately starting TSAVO. When we started TSAVO, we were thinking, how many people are like us? How many people would have loved to invest in real estate, but they're not able to invest in real estate? Why? They're not able to invest in real estate because they can't afford. I mean, projects or properties are very expensive, one. Two, so they don't have the funding. They can't get financing. If I'm to go to a bank to borrow, probably the interest rates are very high, so they can't afford. Or even if they can afford, you can afford to borrow 3 million, but the house is available at 10 million. So real estate always looked like out of reach for many of us. At the early days, I remember going to very many companies and I used to talk to very many young people, and they would tell you, I can only afford $1 million. Even if I took a loan, I can only take a loan for $1 million. What can $1 million buy? Of course, a Subaru. So the first thing that this young person does is a Subaru, because I can't, even if I wanted to invest in real estate, I can't. So we looked at that. That was the need of God's children that we could see. And then we looked at our example. What have we done? We've invested in real estate and we've been able to achieve what we have achieved. Can we then enable other people to invest in real estate? So when you start thinking about God's children, it's easy to find, what service can you offer? What other ways can you make money besides employment income? Yeah? Yes, I think Mcharo is just excited with Nancy, that Nancy, you save 70% of your income. I think that's fantastic. Evans Musomi, been working for 9 years, still in the rat race. Oh, I thought net worth was the key, but recently realized non-active cash flow is what I need to exit the race. Let me read the second part. I thought net worth was the key, but recently realized non-active cash flow is what I need to exit the race. I would like to hopefully to interpret what you're saying. Non-active cash flow, you mean passive cash flows. So your net worth can be very high in terms of the assets you own, but those assets possibly might not be generating for you any cash flows. And if you're in that situation, assume you have tracts of land somewhere, and you're stuck in this rat race, and you're looking for opportunities or possibilities of you getting out of the rat race. Because your land is not generating for you cash flows, you will still be thinking, I still need to meet my needs. So even with the land, it will still be difficult to exit the rat race. So I agree with you, Evans. If it is possible to convert what you own into cash flow generating assets, then it becomes much easier to exit or to get out of the rat race so to speak. Yeah. Gashohi Liz, very informative. Thank you. Thank you very much, Gashohi. Ashley Kare, I believe in having passive income. Yes. Enough to sustain my needs. Working towards that, I invest 80% of my income. 80. I can see Sam, one of our media guys, he's just in shock. I think he's just about 80%. Sam, that should be your target of my income, and live a life of optional poverty. Oh, Mr. Mcharo, you have a friend here. This is the best thing I have ever done in my life. Oh, Ashley, wow. This is so impressive. Yeah. Ashley, would you like to join us in one of our Fire Fridays? And just, yeah, and just help us. And just help us spread this word. How do you do it? Mcharo is one of those people who lives a life of optional poverty. And it's amazing that he's not alone in that journey. And especially that, Ashley, you're a lady, and even I struggle with that. And you've made a decision to take that path. I'm totally, totally impressed. A lot of financial experts will tell you, save 30%, spend 80. Others say 50-50. Most will tell you 30-70. Many will tell you, look at your age, how old are you, how much time do you have? And that's true. What is your investment horizon? But if you're able to stretch, Mcharo says, stretch that number as much as possible. If you're able to stretch it, we just read someone who does 70. Now Ashley is doing 80. It is possible. And I kid you not, Ashley, I'm sure in a very short time you'll be financially independent. All the best. Gitao? Oh, Gitao. You should be in national TV. This is so relevant and simple truths. Thanks for sharing and inspiring. Thanks, Gitao. Let's keep it here. Let's invite our friends. Let's just have more people watching, even if it's not national TV. Let's keep sending the link to other people, and so that this message, we are able to spread it to more and more. Koi Karuga, that's my sister. That is so true. The Subaru joke. Yes, my sister. She drives a Subaru. Here comes Winnie. Evans, yes, passive cash flows. Passive cash flows is king. And passive is good because it doesn't matter. I like to give the example of, let me even say pediatricians. So you are a doctor and you see patients. Every time I go, my kids are very big, but when they were younger, every time I went to the pediatrician, I think we used to pay 2,000 or 3,000, I can't remember, something like that. But what that meant is the day the pediatrician was not in the clinic, she did not earn. And I would imagine being a doctor, I mean, that was the envied profession. That's what we all, okay, I didn't want to be a doctor, but that's what most of us would have loved to be. But if that doctor does not go to the clinic, they do not earn a shilling. When we were at some point in our investment journey, I remember one of my sisters came to us with her husband, and we showed her the messages. When a tenant pays, there's this SMS alerts, like when a tenant pays, the bank sends you a message saying your account has been credited, your account has been credited. So we'd always get the messages when rent comes to our account. So we were just talking to them about investing, about passive cash flows. We were with them in the house, we are not working, but shortly you hear, a message has entered, you show them, X amount credited to your account. That's someone paying rent. Shortly thereafter, another message. What were we doing? We were seated and having, just a nice conversation. But our money was working for us because we had invested. So passive cash flows is king. It just gives you a lot of possibilities. Evans, again, how to invest 80 or 70%? Yes, would like to know more. Yes, Evans, try our projects. With 80 to 70%, you will definitely be able to get something from TSAVO. My dear husband, again, Ashley saves 80% of income and lives a life of optional poverty. Of course, he's excited. He has found a friend. Yes, honey. Financial awareness with Martha. I'm very encouraged by having actual testimonies like you, Mcharo and Ashley. Financial independence is a reality. Yes, It is a reality. Let's immediately we are able to fight this consumerism religion. Financial independence is a reality. It is possible to become financially independent. Ultramaster Masharia, I'm not able to see the message. Let's go to Saru Madime. Let us say a person pays a monthly rental of 30K and they want to invest in your projects without any other income. Is it viable? I'm sure there are people out there who may have such questions with no answers. Yes, it is possible. If you're paying rent of 30,000, it is possible to invest in our projects, and you could even choose to invest, continue paying the 30,000 and live in that unit. So what that means is you would therefore not be paying additional rent somewhere else. But you can call us and just have a conversation with us and see how we can structure that. But definitely, with 30,000, it is possible. Angelic, thank you for that. Lucan, if I'm buying 2 apartments with TSAVO, why do I have to pay legal fees twice? Should that not be subsidized because I end up paying 50,000 for legal fees? Okay, so Lucan, when you buy, we've talked about legal fees here, I think previously. When you buy 2 houses, you will get the title for the unit. You will not get for one. You'll get a sublease for one house and for the other house separately. So you get 2 subleases. It can be subsidized in terms of a discount, but ideally you need to pay for 2 because we'll process 2 title documents. We'll process 2 subleases for each house separately. And that process is handled by the lawyer. So it's not that, that we TSAVO are going to process for you your title, but the lawyer is going to process for you your title. So the lawyer can give you a little discount because there are 2 units, but ideally you would be paying for both units because you will get 2 titles at the end of the day. Yeah? Let me see, is there any other question? In where? On my left. Okay. Munene, is starting your own business a way to get out of the rat race? Okay. Munene, let me talk about business. Munani, forgive me if I've pronounced, sorry? Oh, okay. So when we talk, what is the meaning of passive? Passive means it's something that does not require your time. It's something that does not require your active involvement. It's an investment that requires very little of your time to be able to make for you money. Now, if it is a business, it's dependent on what type of a business it is. Yes, you can have a business as an additional source of income, forgive me. But the definition of passive might restrict, a business is good, definitely. But the definition of passive might restrict the type of businesses that you would consider passive. Businesses are largely active. They require your time. You need to manage it. You need to have thorough understanding of the particular business. You probably need to be there daily. There's management of cash flows. There's management of clients. For example, what we do in TSAVO, this is a business, and we are actively engaged in TSAVO as we run TSAVO. So with business, that's the drift. Yes, you can start a business and it can give you additional income, but it might not be entirely passive. The other thing about passive investments is that the risk is, if you're classifying risk, the degree of risk is a little lower. So the possibility of really losing your money is very, very low, which might not be entirely true for the business, but it's again dependent on the type of business that you're talking about. But business is active. It's more active than passive. That is what I would say. But yes, a business can help you get out of a rat race. Definitely, yes. Okay. Let's go back to YouTube. Gerald, I'm happy this has been done by Kenyans for Kenyans. I'm used to listening to people out there. Now I'm happy it has been done here and being shared here free. Be blessed. Thank you. Thank you, Gerald. We are glad that we're able to do this, and thank you for always joining us. Nguhim Turi, there's a belief that only men should invest. Oh, Lord. Though it's changing over time, to see a lady save up to 80% with all the spending habits that's a real challenge. Nancy and Ashley, kudos. I think Nancy and Ashley, you're our shining stars. And reach out to us, or I don't know whether my team can reach out to you. We would love for you guys to join us in Fire Friday. I think you definitely have insights that the rest of us would benefit from. Ladies, let us invest. There's a book I read not too long ago by Robert Kiyosaki's wife, and she was talking about the mindset of ladies, possibly not me or not us, not current ladies, but many women think that investing is the responsibility of men, right? Many ladies feel like even understanding investment is complex, it's difficult, they're not able to understand matters relating to investments very well. And many ladies think more of security. So men think about being rich. Men think about, just additional income and grow your income more and more and more. Women think more of security, that I can meet my needs, I have a shelter. I can meet my needs and I have a shelter, I'm good. So they may not go the extent that men go to. But I would like to encourage the ladies who are here. I think women can be very good investors, very good investors. And it's upon us to encourage each other as ladies. Let's educate ourselves. Investments are not difficult. So long as we apply our minds and be keen and read and just take keen interest, it's possible to understand investments, and it is possible for ladies to invest. So let's invest, ladies. Let's not feel like it's the forte of men, it's the responsibility of men. I'm glad that the truth is in TSAVO, most of our investors are ladies, which is a very good thing. Yeah. Nguhimturi, there's a belief that only men, that's the one I've just read. Liz, do you have any open days to view your current complete projects? Yes, Liz, we have open days every day. Every day of the week is an open day. If you'd like to come tomorrow, someone can show you. One of the summarites, kindly just get in touch with Liz and arrange. So yes, Liz, it's possible. Any day of the week is a viewing day. Again, Guhi, if you could share the name of the book. I will share. I can't remember the name of that book, but I'll definitely look out for it. I think I have it at home. But because that's Robert Kiyosaki's wife, she really addresses ladies, right? And I found that it had some very useful lessons for ladies. So I'll try and find the name. Sam, you'll just remind me to do that. Okay, billionaire. Brian Masharia. Automatic recurring passive income is a sure way out of the rat race. Fantastic. That is true. And then Lucan, why is it that the sales on the race? Okay. Did I lose? There's a question that you guys have just. It's still there. Just go before billionaire. The question I was reading. Oh yeah, Lucan, yeah. Why is it that the sales agreements include an interest rate on default, yet discussions with subrights indicate otherwise? They indicate you will be consulted and transferred to another project. If this is the case, should you not align with your lawyers and have the agreements updated, or is there a reason you would like to retain that interest clause in the agreements? Yes, Lucan, I think there's a reason why we would like to retain the interest clause in the agreement. I think just because we do our projections based on the sales. So when someone comes and says, I am comfortable with a 2-year payment plan, and the 2-year payment plan probably requires me to pay 50,000 shillings every month, our projections of our cash flows are pegged on that number. So we would like to just encourage investors that you're able to stick to that number. And a lot of times, some investors, as you've said, come to us early and say, I will not be able to meet my obligation for last month, or for last month, or for this month actually, and I'll not be able to meet my obligation the next 6 months or so to speak. And then it's very easy to have the conversation of moving to another project or something like that. But unfortunately, Lucan, we have some of us who probably would not come forth. It's 3 months later, it's 4 months later, probably even trying to reach out to them, and they're not they're not coming forth to explicitly say what challenges they're facing. And it's for that reason that at least we have the interest clause, just to also sort of like, be able to tell them, you know what, you need to come to us and tell us what the challenge is, and we need to figure out a solution. But unfortunately, some investors don't do that. That's why we have that. But if you come to us early enough, then that will not be applicable. We will be able to find a solution for you quickly. I hope I've answered you, Lucan. And then billionaire, the low income mindset is fixated on the race of acquiring more income to create security. The middle class mindset is fixated on the race of acquiring more liabilities to create comfort. The rich class mindset is fixated on the race of acquiring assets to create generational wealth. Fantastic. No, that name totally befits you. Yeah, that's a very good way of looking at it. So if you're in the low income segment of just say, you're more concerned about security. You're thinking about food. You're thinking about shelter. But unfortunately, immediately you cross over to middle income, our mindset starts thinking about acquiring liabilities. And in the face of it, those liabilities are called assets, right? So if you're in middle class, you're thinking, I need to buy a car. I need to upgrade my car. And because we, like those of us who went to school of accounting, we know a car is an asset. So if you're in that segment of the market, you'll just be thinking, I need to buy this car, or I need to get a mortgage. And those are really liabilities. But that's our mindset. So middle class, that's where we are. But the rich do not think about acquiring liabilities or cars and taking mortgages. They think about creating wealth and creating literally generational wealth. I think the Bible says, I can't remember where, that a wise man, I don't know whether it's a wise man or a good man, leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And that's what is called generational wealth. So if you're in that space, you won't be thinking the latest car, changing the neighborhood, taking my kids to schools. You won't be thinking like that. You'll be thinking, how can I create wealth? How can I make money my slave, right? How can I make money my slave so that I can be able to create generational wealth? Gerald Kiragu, if someone wants to come learn about your investment options, where could one come to? Yes, you can come to us in TSAVO. I don't know whether there's a number, or someone can actually call you, Gerald, and tell you. But you can actually just respond here and say, give a number that any of our viewers can call to come and just learn more about our projects. Yes, honey, at TSAVO, most of our investors are women. Wanaume mko wapi? Wanaume amkeni. That is what Mr. Mchari is telling you. True. And then Hannah, Liz, yes, Liz is just responding to, Hannah is responding to Liz, and she's put her number there. So yes, come and see our projects. Martha, people invest with the purpose of succeeding out of the rat race, but unfortunately end up losing much due to lack of proper due diligence. Maybe you'd want to shed some light on this, okay? Actually, would like to have a session where we talk about due diligence, but for Martha's sake, I'll just briefly touch on due diligence. So when you want to invest, in Kenya, we've had challenges where people have lost money because of, because they probably didn't do proper due diligence. But before you invest, there's actually an article I wrote about the 10 things you should do before you invest. I'll request Sam to just possibly drop the link here. But what are the things you should look at before you invest? So for example, you want to come and invest in TSAVO. The first thing you want to know is, who is TSAVO, right? Who is TSAVO? Who are the people behind TSAVO? Literally get to know who are the people who you are investing with. I think that is very important. What is their track record? Sometimes I even encourage people, are these people who even belong to certain professional bodies? For example, Mr. Mcharo is an architect, so he belongs to the Architectural Association, and he's held accountable even by the association. Someone like me, I'm a chartered financial analyst, CFA. I belong to the CFA charter. I have a CFA charter. A profession that has very, very strict provisions. I wouldn't want to do anything that would make, the institute actually remove my charter. I would not want to expose myself. So even just things like those, do these people, do they honor their name? Do they value their name in terms of their profession? Are they in any professional bodies? What's their track record? What have they done? Just get to know who are the owners, who are really the owners, and you will feel comfortable. Sometimes there are people who just meet me and say, my heart is at peace. Like I remember when I went to the diaspora, and I mean, at the diaspora, they haven't come to Kenya, they haven't seen our projects, but I would meet someone, I would speak to them, and they would feel I'm comfortable to invest. So sometimes getting to know who are the people behind the company is very important. Number two is, what's their track record in terms of what have they done? For example, we have done a number of projects, 1 or 6 projects. If you invest, probably you want to invest in our 6th project, it is advisable that you see where exactly am I investing, right? So actually going to site and seeing, oh, it is here. Our 6th project is on Wanye Road, just off Ngong Road. Actually going to that location and saying, this is where I'm investing. That is very important. And then what else? Because there it's off-plan, so possibly, you won't see and feel the building. But what else have they done? And come here. We are now here in Coral Bells. Come here to Coral Bells and see what we've done. Go to Embakasi, go to Rongai, go and see the projects we have done. See how well do we execute. That's part of your due diligence. Then you make a decision. I'm now ready to go ahead and invest. After you've made a decision to go ahead and invest, now start looking at the legal paperwork. What is the contract between me and you? Is there an agreement for sale? Ask for the agreement for sale. Read it. Try to understand, what does this agreement for sale mean? Maybe sometimes, you might find it a bit difficult, some terminology, some clauses. Call and ask, what does this mean? Please explain to me what this means, until you get comfort. Ask for some of the ownership documents. For example, this is TSAVO. As I've said, you want to know the owners of TSAVO. Ask for the CR12, and CR12 will show you TSAVO is owned by person XYZ, right? So then that gives you more comfort. Okay, so I want to invest in TSAVO Skywalk, which is the project of Ngong Road. Who owns the land? Does TSAVO actually own the land? Get a copy of the title, right? You can go to the extent of doing a search. Sometimes, maybe a lawyer can do for you a search, or you can even just ask us, please give me the search that confirms who the owner of this land is. And when you do some of those things, you have significantly reduced the risk. You have significantly mitigated the risk of being exposed. So instead of investing and then later you're regretting, first try and do your due diligence. And after you've done your due diligence, it becomes very easy to make sure you don't lose your money, right? I think we only have 5 minutes to go. I'll try and see what I can be able to answer. Ashley, I think you mean, is this financial independence? Okay. Financial independence is a mindset. If you have the right mindset and work towards it and have delayed gratification, you can easily achieve financial independence. It's all about mindset. Ashley, can I say you're actually speaking Mcharo's words, like you're removing his words? That's Mcharo's. Mcharo would literally say what you said. It is a mindset, right? Delay gratification. Those are words that Mcharo consistently uses. So yes, you're spot on, Ashley. Richard Kileta, Mr. Mcharo, I'll be coming to TSAVO to invest. I request for mentoring from you and Emily. Yes, Kileta. I suspect that is someone I know. Yes, Kileta, we would be happy. We would definitely be happy to mentor you. Yeah. What advice would you give to young married ladies who are supporting their spouses in financial independence? Okay. Is the word supporting? Okay. Yeah, I'm just a bit cautious with that word support. I think as a young lady and you're married, you deserve a seat on the table. Yes, you are supporting, but you are you have a right. You're an equal partner. So as you're supporting your spouse, or as you're, unakalia kiti vizuri, I think the first thing I would say is educate yourself. I think as a lady, it's very important for you to educate yourself. And if you're educating yourself, it's a lot easier for you to then be able to share with your husband. And using data, don't, I mean, we go for chamas and things, and ladies tell us a lot of things. We share a lot of, not just talk, but actual data about investments, investment possibilities, investment returns. Find out and share with your husband. Then it's easy to start the journey together. I think the other thing is be the first one to cut the cords of consumerism. If you as a lady is able to cut the cords of consumerism, literally, your husband will see it. And he will also follow suit. So keep talking to him. When he's not getting it, don't give up, hang in there, keep talking. And ultimately, I think it will be possible. So yes, yeah, my dear husband, ladies, be full partners. Yes, that is true. Don't support, but be a full partner in the financial independence journey of your family. There are so many things that ladies see that men don't see, especially when it comes to risk. So yeah, voice it out, give it a shot. Don't just let it be. Don't say it's the man. The man is the one who knows. No. There are many things that men don't see, especially when it comes to that. Like what I've talked about, due diligence. It's much easier for a lady to do that. And it's much easier for a lady to see a red flag in future. So be full partners, as Ncharo has said. Yeah? Angie, my passive income loading thanks to Royal. Oh, fantastic. I believe you're one of our investors in Royal Suburbs. Billionaire, hi Emily, kindly share the importance of financial literacy in our journey of getting out of the rat race into financial freedom. Yes, financial literacy is important. How do you invest without knowledge? How? It is not possible. I think our time is up. I think this has been fantastic. This has been great. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you. I haven't felt lonely. I was scared I'd feel lonely now that I'm alone today. But I haven't felt lonely. I think it has been nice. I have one thing to say. This is my view. Employment is a short-term solution to a long-term problem. So we probably, at the beginning, most of us need to be employed. But it's a short-term solution. And it's very important to acknowledge that it is a short-term solution. The long-term solution is being mastery of money. That is the long-term solution. If you get to a place where you understand money and make money your slave, and you have totally mastered how money works, then you will have found the long-term solution. There's something I want to say that is a bit sensitive. There's a message that a brother of mine sent recently. And unfortunately, it was a message about my brother who just left us. Very sad. But my brother who left us, he had understood money more than any of us, more than myself, more than anybody I know. And he wasn't old, he was just a year older than me. But my younger brother put it very well. He had mastered money. He was not interested on what money could do for him. Right? Oh, sorry, he was not interested on what he could do with money. Again, spending, consumer, that was not his focus. He was only interested on what money could do for him, not what he could do with money. He had totally mastered how money works. And that was true completely in the man that he was. And that's my prayer, that even I, one day, I will master the power of money like my brother Cheche did. And that's my prayer for you today, that you will also master the power of money. And that's my parting shot. So God bless you. Thank you. Thanks again. Share. Gerald, you said be on national TV. Let's do it, and you do it by, it's called social power. What is it called? New power. Yeah. So you can actually get access to all Kenyans using new power, and that is by each of us sharing. Share with a sister, share with a brother, share with a friend, and we'll be able to reach more people. So thank you. Have a good night, and may God bless you. Bye-bye. Thank you.